Welcome and thanks for listening to Four Things to Know, an open line podcast produced by the City of Auburn. Each week, we'll take a few minutes to walk you through events, street closures, and important dates you should know about as Auburn residents. This is the Public Affairs team coming to you from Auburn, Alabama. We're going to go ahead and go around the table once again, introduce ourselves. Cynthia, back in the chair. David was there last week.
We've got to swap up this rotation. I am Cynthia Williford Bean.
I'm Allison Blankenship.
I'm David Dorton.
And I am Nick Bowman. So we are going to talk about a few things coming up this week, maybe the next week. Cynthia, what you got?
All right. So our 21st annual Auburn City Fest is coming up in just a few weeks. This year's event will be held April 30th. It's always the last Saturday in April from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Kiesel Park. And this is our biggest event that Parks and Rec puts on throughout the year. It's an arts and crafts event where you can spend the day shopping from more than 100 arts and crafts, food, and nonprofit vendors. There will be live music and lots of interactive events for kids and adults. So it's one of the most fun things to do in Auburn. And this year's theme is Totally Excellent 80s. So the headlining entertainment will be Dialed Action Sports Team, who's going to be performing some BMX stunts. So this year should be pretty fun. The Children's Imagination Station is going to be back this year with Stilt Walker, Todd Key, the Bama Air Dogs, the Career Preserve and Nature Center, who always has some little reptiles and stuff out there. The AU Raptor Center is always out there with their birds, and apparently Batman is going to make an appearance this year. So lots of exciting things and reasons to come out. And there will be live music throughout the day and so many amazing food vendors. There's this one vendor that does Greek food that's really, really good. And hopefully they'll be there this year. So again, this is Auburn City Fest. It's coming up on April 30th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Kiesel Park.
I always go for the kettle corn.
Oh, yes.
Made in that huge cauldron. Mm-hmm. So good.
Yeah.
Now, is that going to be Robert Pattinson or Ben Affleck?
Good question.
So you said Batman, but in such proximity to the Raptor Center that I didn't know if it was the Batman or a Batman. So
it could be either. You'll just have to go and find out.
You do need to attend for that reason.
Exactly.
All right. Well, continuing a little bit in Parks and Rec, last week we had some new playground equipment installed in Dennius Park. And so we've added it's a really cool looking structure that kind of looks like an abstract caterpillar monkey bar situation. It's got a sit and spin. It's got a swing component and just plenty of things for your kids to climb on, and also a slide.
I was about to say, the slide looks epic.
It does. My kid would be all over that slide. So they're also starting work this week to add more parking. We right now have about 40 something parking spaces out there, and by the end of, hopefully, I think they can get it done in maybe a week, but don't hold me to that. They will have 30 something more parking spaces. So at the end of work, we hope to have about 75 spaces out there. So that'll help with the increasing number of people that we see going out to enjoy that park. There's also a pavilion out there, and I think there's like 3 picnic tables under that, and then some other picnic tables just strategically placed throughout the park. So it's just turning into an even cooler thing out there.
And where is Dennius Park, Allison?
Well, I'm glad you asked. It is on Glen Avenue, across from the Prathers Lake subdivision. If you know where that is, I don't know the address.
I don't either, but you can find it online at auburnalabama.org/parks.
Yes. So go check it out.
So shifting gears a little bit from Parks and Recreation, Congressman Mike Rogers actually stopped by City Hall today to speak with City Manager Crouch and Mayor Anders about a recent federal appropriation for our Auburn Center for Developing Industries. That was a $3 million federal appropriation that was approved in March. It was part of the Consolidated Appropriations Act. It was actually through a program called Transportation, Housing, and Urban Development. So the Auburn Center for Developing Industries, they provide startups with incubator spaces. They house the Advanced Manufacturing Training Center, which helps develop the skills of Auburn's existing industries. And I'm going to read a little bit here from our press release, just because just to get this right, just to do this justice. So what the $3 million is for, there'll be a new space, which will be a comprehensive center for business innovation and training in areas greatly needed by our pioneering startups and industry partners. This will be a space for collaboration and training between technology providers, industries, and academia. Some of the focus areas are multi-axis machining, industrial automation, digitalization of manufacturing processes, as well as tool and die. And this will be an education tool to teach students about advanced manufacturing and provide pre-graduation job training. So, I mean, the Auburn Center for Developing Industry speaks to both the job side and the industry side in Auburn and in East Alabama. And this federal appropriation will go a long way to help them with what they do.
It does sound like a great project. I mean, one of the reasons is it seems to be benefiting everybody at all these different levels in our community. We've got high school students who can get some guidance on what kind of careers are open to them. We've got post-high school people looking to enter the workforce can get training there. College students can get different kinds of training there, or even find business opportunities there as a startup. And then on top of that, we've got industry opportunities for folks who are already established. People who have spent a long time in the workforce and are already well established, they can get advanced training there. So there's really not any part of the community that something like this isn't going to touch.
And the Economic Development Department offers, more than just the Auburn Center for Developing Industries. You've got the Auburn Training Connection. You do have the high school training programs. So they are working hard on workforce training and on industrial recruitment. And I will say this press release in its entirety, if you want to know more, is available at auburnalabama.org.
And we'll put a link to it in the show notes for sure. Our last item today is pretty quick. Just an update. We concluded the Cops on Top fundraiser over at the Auburn Kroger. Happy to report that fundraiser raised, as of right now, the number's not official, so hopefully it'll go up from here. We've got almost $16,000 raised so far. Of course, I know everybody involved in that fundraiser, which goes to benefit the Special Olympics, is very thankful for your donations. I know that the Auburn Police Department loves being a part of that long-standing fundraiser. So almost $16,000. Like I said, hopefully know where to go, but up from there. Anybody else got anything else this week?
No, just that number is awesome. It's good to hear.
Yeah. It's just a single day, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's a lot of money raised. So good for them. And thank you, Auburn, once again for that. So we will be back again next week with some more things you should know. Thanks for listening to 4 Things to Know, an open line podcast produced by the City of Auburn. If you're looking for more news, events, and dates to know about coming up in Auburn, visit news.auburnalabama.org. You can also check out our show notes for the links and URLs discussed in this episode.